rider is basically an addendum to a contract, which basically helps a band get from city to city without depleting absolutely every last dollar that they have on sort of sundry items, food and drink and maybe even a few other necessities. So what you're going to get when you get that rider is a rider will generally, some riders are extremely elaborate and some riders are one page. And most riders will consist of 2 or 3 different pieces. You're going to have a production rider, which is going to sort of lay out for you, well, this is what we want for the sound, this is how many inputs we need, this is our stage plot setup, these are the effects that we're going to need, this is the light plot that we're going to need, so on and so forth. And that's basically so that it's basically trying to ensure that if you see Joe Schmo in the Rockets in Cleveland, that you will get a similar quality presentation in Chicago. And also what you will have is you will have what's called a catering rider, which is at its very basic level, it's lunch and dinner for the bands and crew. And it can range anywhere from a couple of deli trays to sometimes it gets really elaborate where bands will ask you for cereal and certain kinds of juice or certain kind of lunch meat or this, that, and the other thing. I've seen a lot of different things on riders. Now, one thing that will usually be a part of the rider is they sort of assume, I've always found this odd because it's just not the case anymore, but they always assume that the venues have a kitchen. So it'll say if dinner is provided, and then there's this great big list of chicken, low fat, dark meat only, and potatoes with gravy and not too dark, and rice for the vegetarian. And it's so, you know, when you weed through all this crap, then it gets to the very bottom and it says, if venue does not have a kitchen, we will accept a buyout of $12 a head in local currency. Which basically means you're going to pay them and then you're going to point your finger in the direction of the nearest restaurant and say, go eat. A catering rider that is where if you're savvy enough and if you have an extra couple $100 to throw at a show, you can be the hero of the day because a national promotion agency will hand that to a runner and will say, okay, this ought to cost 150 bucks. See if you can get that down to 125 or 100, or see if you can trim it down. They want $8 a head for a buyout. See if you can get it down to 7 or down to 6. And you know, you have to look at it one way where if you're doing a buyout at $8 a head, think about what kind of a meal that's going to be able to buy a band. And it's basically nothing. It's basically, you know, a McDonald's value meal. If you're lucky. So if you throw some extra money at the catering rider, that's where you can really set yourself apart. And bands will remember that. I guarantee they will remember that. But the most important thing about a rider is just pay attention to it. For instance, I've seen a lot of requests for batteries on rider, and that will usually be if a band is bringing in their own wireless vocal mics, or sometimes they wear something like a costume that needs, like I brought in a band once where the lead singer had on this sort of light up Christmas tree light thing and he needed batteries for it, and his tour manager called me twice to make sure I had those batteries, and yes, I got the batteries. So, and then every once in a while you get something fun where one band asked me for postcards of a local historic or other monument of value, and I just thought that was really funny, so I went out and bought them postcards of our downtown area, and I have one band ask me for socks, and of course, you know, you hear the stories about various other sundries of sort of erotic nature. I haven't really experienced any of that, although I do hope to one day, because I think it would be fun to shop for that.